Welcome to today's episode of The Growth Zone. I am Christian Bartsch. What is the core benefit of listening to this show? Business leaders in corporate and privately held companies gain insights into trends and strategies that provide them with a competitive advantage in the marketplace. Each episode focuses on an area such as marketing, sales, innovation, or funding that is absolutely critical to the growth of companies, whether they are startups or corporate global players, where management needs to juggle the challenges of market entry or knowing how to navigate the uncertainties of disruptive developments. Mind-feeding is where clarity evolves and helps solving organizational challenges. For those who listen to the entire episode, I have a special surprise gift. I am working on some great guests that are industry leaders in management, innovation, and marketing. Let's get started on today's episode. So I've got today with me Steve Brown, and let's see, who is he? So he is the author of the funniest book on marketing, The Golden Toilet. Stop flushing your marketing budget into your website and build a system that grows your business. Well, Steve is the host of ROI Online podcast, and besides that, he has his own business as well that is called ROI Online. That's an internet marketing agency. So I've got for Steve 4 main questions, and let me quickly let you know ahead of time what they are. So our main topic is building a system that grows your business. And I'll be asking him what all the noise in the market, what can you do and what do you need to do to grow your business? Does a system on its own drive success, or is there more to it? Thirdly, how do I engage my audience while not becoming overwhelmed with traffic? And the last question, what are your best 7 suggestions on how to put a business on the right growth path? So let's go and have a conversation with Steve. So I've got today with me Steve Brown from Texas. Steve, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So I'm in Texas, as you said. I grew up in Texas and spent a little time traveling around the world. I was lucky to get to hang out in Munich some and get to know your area. But eventually, in my professional career, I kept finding myself in a sales position for a handful of companies. And invariably, it would mean that I would need to update the website for that company. I would take it as a self-initiative, and I would just upgrade the website. And websites were sort of new at that time. And so there wasn't really a big expectation for what would come from the website. But what I noticed was when people went to a website and they filled out a form or connected, after viewing the website, that the sales process was a lot quicker. It was a warmer lead. It was way easier because they cared about and wanted to know more about what that service or product was about, as opposed to me just barging into their office unannounced without an appointment to what we call a cold call, and to interrupt them and to try to get them to quickly sign up or purchase whatever it was I was selling. The close rates on that old school process was like 1 out of 10 interruptions to maybe 2 out of 3 per request for more information via the website. Long story short, I ended up with a web design firm. On the other side of that coin, I worked with entrepreneurs and business owners in helping them get their website set up or modernized or upgraded. But what I noticed was that at the end of that, they were like disappointed in a way of all this effort and investment on this website, and still wasn't moving the needle. And that's why I started my own agency, ROI Online, an internet marketing agency, to help educate these clients while we worked on their stuff, to help them understand the proper expectations they should have from this. The you understand the language, how to look at things, because we're bombarded every day. And there's more to it than just get you to the top of a search phrase, but that's the only words they had. And consequently, I wrote a book after observing all these conversations and knowing certain patterns. I wrote a book called The Golden Toilet. Stop flushing your marketing budget into your website and build a system that grows your business. And that's to help the entrepreneur, the business owner, to have the language, to see the things they need to focus on, the fundamentals, and to expect the proper things so that they can have a better engagement with the people that they hired to help them.
Wow, that sounds definitely great. The book, where can one buy the book? Is it on Amazon or?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. You can get an Audible version. You can get a Kindle version. And of course, you can get the old-fashioned paperback version as well.
So it would be as well like in shops like Barnes & Noble and so on. You could get it, Borders bookshops, I suppose, anywhere around the world, I'm sure.
Yes, you sure can. Or you can go to my website, the book website, thegoldentoilet.com, send me a note, and we'll figure it out.
Super. That's good, because interestingly enough, this afternoon I just was downloading 3 different books on different kinds of marketing strategies as audiobooks, just to listen, because I enjoy that sometimes when I'm driving somewhere, just to mind feed. That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
And and looking at what the 4 questions that I've got already for you, I think we should go and deeper. And let me read out the first question, which is: with all the noise in the market, what do you need to grow your business?
You need someone's focus. We keep hearing that it's the attention economy. But if you really think about it, I say it's more the focus economy. And you remember the time you went to Oktoberfest, or you went to a fair, or you went to a carnival, and there's all these noises that are hitting your ears. There's all these sights, balloons and flashing lights and Ferris wheels and people, and that's hitting your eyes, and then all these smells that are hitting your nose, and you're being bombarded by all of this highly hyper attention getting bombardment. That's your brain from the minute you wake up every day. That's your brain. Your brain's like going down the midway. And if you think about it, if you're a brand, what is your expectation? I need you to focus for a little bit and concentrate so you can carve out enough time to evaluate what it is. What's the solution that I have to offer? But if you think about what's competing for that focus, their kids, email are coming in, their spouses, the most competitive attention-getting device is in your hand. It's amazing how Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, they have their algorithms set up to where if you open it up, if you're not really careful, you'll be sucked in for an hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. If you think about that, they have highly focused the way to grab you and get you to turn off all the other distractions and just get sucked into their platform. Well, that's who you're competing against. You're competing against all those things. So the most important thing that you need to compete in that noise is to create a way that honors the brain of the humans that you're wanting to serve so that you earn their focus, not just their attention, their focus, where they turn off all of that distraction and then come closer and give you a little more time. It's like we all watch the American Idol or the whatever the European versions of those are, and we see all these people audition to become the next idol. And so you see folks that are really they didn't practice, they have no hope whatsoever, and they come and do an audition, and it's embarrassing, and they're almost dismissed immediately. Well, that's your website, that's your platform if you don't have it dialed in and honoring the rules of story, the rules that your brain craves for you to communicate with them. But then we see the folks that do get invited to the next audition. They practiced, they had their act together, they were dialed in. And that's what you need to do to stand out with all this noise in the market. You're competing against all those amateurs that are immediately dismissed. Remember the website you went to yesterday and you couldn't find what you're looking for? You ruthlessly clicked out and went somewhere else. You didn't have any emotion whatsoever. So basically, you penalized that business, probably a legitimate business that had a great solution, but because they didn't really practice, get their act together, and set up an experience that you appreciated, that confirmed you were in the right place, that showed you where the next place to go, you didn't get another audition with them. They said next. And so that's the number one priority, is to get your messaging clear on your platform to earn the next audition.
Absolutely. So, as you said, and then it's a focus. That's the problem. Of course, when you look at it, people like Gary Vee and so on say about all this in the attention and so on, which is true. Of course, we're being distracted with all the noise, but there's no point even if we try to have the attention on something and we don't have the focus. We have so many thoughts coming in our brain, and then we still don't have the focus, and we can't really do anything with what we're getting. Yeah. So
there's a great book called Building a Story Brand. The author is Donald Miller, and he talks about the 7 pieces. It's called the framework, but there's 7 little pieces of that framework, the story brand framework, to really dial in your messaging. And it's basically you change your positioning as, instead of the hero that's going to come in and save the day for your customer, you flip it around. Your customer is the hero. That's the only story they care about. They care about is their story. But you're going to position your product to understand them, to make them feel safe, and that you're going to help them be successful or overcome the challenge by showing them how your solution can complement what their real goal is, and that's to be able to focus on their life instead of worry about whatever the issue is that you help them solve.
Yeah. Funny enough, you mentioned that book. I read that book as well, which is quite a good book. And he's got as well that I think it's a online template that you can use. I've used it as well in the past. It's really, really quite helpful, and the videos are very entertaining as well. He's got some really nice stuff.
Excellent stuff. And we were the first agency to be certified by StoryBrand to apply the StoryBrand framework.
Oh, cool. That's good, because it's really very, very powerful. Definitely. So, speaking of that, because it's more or less a system, does a system on its own actually drive success, or is there more to it?
Yeah, there's a book by an author, Scott Adams, and his book is How to Fail at Almost Everything but Still Win Bigly. But one of the things he talks about is goals are for losers and systems are for winners. And yes, if you think about a system as I had an English teacher in college, and one of the only things I remember was he had this quote. He says, patterning is a mark of an expert, of a craftsman, actually. Patterning is a mark of a craftsman. And a system sets up a framework or a recipe or whatever it is. That's how you can consistently repeat and improve and deliver great work. So, for example, the Building a Story Brand book, it offers a framework. And what does that do? It helps you actually take all the messaging around all of your materials and your brand, put it through that system, and out comes a very clear, succinct wording, messaging that is more impactful, that connects and relates with the humans that you're wanting to serve. So it changes your messaging from the focus of maybe wanting to please the robots and show up in searches, which is probably was the default priority of designing all that messaging that was put on your website in the first place. But if you think about it, you designed it for robots, but robots are bad. Robots don't buy from you. Google doesn't care about you. Robots are fickle. But humans, they have names, they have faces, they have families, they have dreams. And why did you start your business anyway? Why do you provide the services that you provide? To help humans conquer whatever challenges that they're encountering. You recognized a solution and you're bringing it to a human. So why wouldn't your messaging, why wouldn't your online presence, why wouldn't that be more human? And so in my book, I talk about it, but it's called HEO as opposed to SEO. SEO is search engine optimization, designing for robots. And HEO is human experience optimization, designing for humans. And who could argue that what does our world need more of? More humanity, more connecting with humans. We're a social animal. We grew up, our brains were designed to excel in an environment of a community. And that's where we feel safe. That's where we excel. That's where we become our best. That's where we get to be a part of something bigger. So we should be designing the experiences that we deliver to accommodate what our brains desire. Our world has changed. Yeah, it's more industrialized, but our world has changed, but our brains remain the same. And the way to excel, the way to compete, the way to stand out is to honor how we've been designed as humans to make sure we're safe, to make sure you understand me, and then to make sure you're going to support my journey, my challenge with your solution, with your product, with your service. That's pretty simple, but a lot of people fail on that.
Yeah, because I suppose they just focus on robots and try to do like stuff like keyword spamming and all this stuff. And then you read the text and you don't understand.
Totally. I was talking to an author the other day, and she writes books. She writes these great fiction books, but she also writes a set of nonfiction books that teach you how to write better fiction books.
Mm-hmm.
But if she did it this way, if she would have just went on Amazon and go, okay, I want to sell a bunch of books, so what are all the popular keywords right now? And then gets those keywords, and then, all right, make sure I'm going to put it in all the pages of my book and on the cover and everything, then that book would suck. That book, no one would want it, but it's going to show up in a search. That's how most people are approaching their website. It sounds absurd in the book example, but it's absurd in the website or the platform or your emails or your whatever it is that you're doing. It's absurd there because why? What's the common denominator there? Our brains. Our brains are active. They're on that fairway. Your brain is deciding where to spend energy to deliver some focus. What a great way to stand out by just honoring that framework in everything that you do.
Yeah, and especially when you think of it nowadays, search engines like Google can as well understand proper sentences and can recognize as well where the text is just being built to do real keyword spamming and the sentence doesn't really sound normal as we would maybe have in a normal conversation or normal writing style. Then Google already notices this is garbage. They're just trying to fool the search engine and downrank everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I notice as well with the texts I've been writing over the last years, they are still at a good ranking because they're normal texts instead of this garbage stuff where others try to play a game which lasts maybe half a year or 2 years, maybe 3 years at last. But if you've got content out there that's 7 or 10 years and it's still driving you leads in, then you know that the effort is worth it of putting proper effort into the story, into the content and all these things. That's worth it.
Totally. If you think about the brands that you appreciate, the thought leaders that you follow and that you get value out of, well, what do? Well, they have a podcast, or they wrote a book, or you bumped into them at a conference, or you heard them speak on a TED Talk. Well, what is that? What is it that they're doing that sets them apart from the other folks? They're not keyword spamming a message to you. They're actually delivering a message that makes you lean in and listen, and then reframes the way you look at something, and it helps you learn something. And you walk away from that time that you spent in that workshop or that conference or that speech or whatever, and you leave with energy. You leave with a new insight that helps you have a new tool to approach whatever the problems are that you run into every day. Well, you value that. And that's just a live version of what we're talking about. And it's so you should approach any of your digital assets that you build out in the same manner. You think about a lot of the folks listening, maybe they have a shop or they have some sort of place that people come and transact and do business with them. Well, it's really obvious what your hours of operation are. They're on the front of the store. It's obvious where you're supposed to park. And it's obvious when you walk in where the product is, where's the menu, where's the till, where do I wait, where can I sit and eat. All those things have been well thought out in the physical world. The shop's clean, the writing or whatever's, everything's been thought out. The lighting, even the parking lot's clean, and lines are drawn where you should park. Well, that was an investment in the human experience that you're delivering in a physical way. But in the virtual world, most people aren't approaching it with that same natural insight. It just makes sense, but all the rules are that you follow innately. They're the social etiquette, all the proper way to get in line or whatever it is. That's all in play still in the virtual representation of whatever asset that you're designing or managing. The brain still expects to operate there, and it's just offended. Your brain has what I call a bodyguard. So we have there are several parts of your brain, and everybody knows those. And the oldest part of your brain is called the brainstem. It's the same part of the brain that you share with dogs or lobsters or birds or whatever. It's a part of the brain that doesn't process language, but its whole reason for being is a safety first imperative. It's the bodyguard. So no decision gets made unless the bodyguard approves it. So you think of bodyguards, the VIPs, they'll roll up in their limos. Bodyguards hop out. They assess the situation, the environment, and as soon as they feel that it's safe, then they'll give a nod, and the VIP walks out and goes into the shop or the whatever. That's in play with your brain. And so when people encounter your online assets, your platform, the bodyguard's still doing the same thing. The bodyguard's going, okay, do we know where we are? Is it safe here? And am I going to allow the person that I'm protecting to spend a little more time here, or are they in danger? They go, okay, you're approved. Spend a little more time. That's where focus comes in. But if I notice anything out of order, not congruent, I'm going to wake you up and pull you out of here. And so that's why most marketing is broken. Most marketing is broken because it presents the brand as the hero, which doesn't feel right to your bodyguard. The bodyguard is supposed to help its person be the hero and overcome things. But if you got a hero already there, it doesn't feel right. Now, I don't know if this brand really understands us, or is not taking time to get to know me. I don't know. Let's go to this other place. That's what a system can do, is help you start to become a better version of what everyone's bodyguard needs from you.
Yeah, so that's true, because it really lifts as well some weight off you, as you don't have to do everything yourself. But at the same time as well, the other kind of system, like you have your frameworks and so on, that okay, what you have to do each time when you're trying to build that story, that message, that the brain can handle it at least.
Yeah. And it happens in split seconds. So that bodyguard, you remember the old days, the modems, the first internet modems, they would make
Mm.
that sound, that iconic noise of AOL. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So when you open up an email and you see this long email with all this text, just think of that sound happening. It's going to take your brain a long time to read through that. It's going to take a lot of energy, and remember what's ticking down is the focus. So at some point, it's going to reach exhaustion and go, I'll come back to this later. So that's the old analog version of communication, all this long keywordy text. But now we're familiar with fiber optic. Things can just happen in just a split second. Well, honoring the rules of story, including the experience, the creative, the colors, in just a split second, you can convey so much and relate and connect and resolve all of the safety issues of the bodyguard in just a split second. Had experiences where you go, I just loved that. That was so fun. But if I was to ask you what specifically, you'd maybe hit a couple of things, but you'd be oblivious to all the other things that your bodyguard was analyzing. And so it's called atmospherics. You've been in stores where you just felt comfortable and you spend a lot of time. And then you've been in other stores where you're like, I'm getting out of here. That's the difference between analog, expecting the brain to do all this heavy duty lifting, or quickly connecting and just getting over the safety humps.
Yeah, it's like when you go in a store and you're trying to find something and you notice they haven't got any signs over all the rows of the products, and you have to think, oh, where am I going to find now a set of screws, or where do I find plugs or the dish machine powder or whatever kind of stuff, and think, oh, I can't be bothered to go and start searching, go around, don't find it. I'm out here. I go to the next place. At least I know I'll find that in 5 minutes.
Totally.
That's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ask, why was I so annoyed? That's why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't feel respectful. It just feels like, I just got to turn the lights on today and I hope no one talks to me. And let the customer dig around and try to find something. I don't care.
Exactly. And that's, I think, especially when you look at retail, that's why some retailers are failing or gradually failing, not really noticing that they already are falling off the plate. But others who are really doing that, not whether it's online or offline, they're putting that effort, they're really engaging differently with their audience. And speaking of that, how do I engage my audience while not becoming overwhelmed with all that traffic that I'm generating?
Well, that's the beauty of our day right now, is there's all these great technologies so there's 4 fundamentals in my book that I talk about. And we've been hanging out on the most important one, and that's clear messaging. And then the next 2 pieces that you need to get squared away are your technology. And simplistically, one is marketing automation and one is sales automation. And so this is a great question that addresses not becoming overwhelmed with traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So the beautiful thing about marketing automation, this is the time where you can get the robots to work for you. And so you'd get to tell the robots what to do instead of asking the robots to bless you with whatever you. So marketing automation is a great way, again, to deliver a safe, respectful experience to humans. So you go to a website and you actually find something of value. You've done this before. I'm sorry. You've done this before where you've gone and found something you wanted to download because you're still evaluating the solution. You want to do some more research before you actually talk to a salesperson. So, what do? You go and you give them your name and email, and they send you that PDF.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or that video, or whatever it is, and it's a sample. And so you get to take your time at your speed and evaluate whatever it is that you're evaluating. But later you get followed up with a, hey, Steve, I noticed that you downloaded that and I wanted to check and see if you needed other information or maybe you would like to read this. A lot of people that downloaded what you just did also appreciated this. Well, that feels respectful. That feels helpful. And all you're doing is you're setting up a nice automated system that facilitates my process, my unique process of how I evaluate something. And there's all this great technology that works in many scenarios to help nurture someone down their evaluation path until they're ready to raise their hand and go, okay, now I'm ready for a one-to-one conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how you can actually engage your audience and not be overwhelmed with a bunch of thinking that you have to answer each email individually.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, we use as well systems like Infusionsoft and that kind of systems as well for whether it's for the podcast stuff or like you saw as well when you booked the recording with us. You notice we're using as well automation there where it can help us and make things definitely easier. Because when you think of it, if you don't do these things, even just scheduling a call, it can be quite a pain in the neck because especially if you've got people who are in different time zones in different cities or just even having to have different technology playing in it, it can be quite overwhelming then because then it just becomes a pain in the neck because you just can't agree on how to use it or which time and this doesn't fit, that doesn't fit, and you go 5 times back and forth, it gets you crazy. And if it happens to the lead, I'm sure the lead then eventually just gets fed up and leaves and doesn't want to be disturbed anymore. And then you've got traffic that you're just wasting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where technology can make you more professional, can make you more appropriate. They even have, technologies that send you an email and you didn't open it. Maybe you just deleted it or didn't have time for it. And it can discern whether you opened it or not. And then it'll go, okay, we'll wait a little bit, then we'll send it again. And if they don't open it, then we'll go to this next option. But that same automation may have started down that path and sent you it, and you did open it. Well, then it would veer to a different path and offer and go down a different cadence, if you will.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of all this technology. But you want to design it to do what? To deliver a nice experience for humans, not an annoying, self-centered, offensive experience.
Yeah, definitely, because otherwise the easiest thing to get rid of the annoyance is click unsubscribe and you're gone.
And so neat. And so here you are, you're doing a version of a great example. So you're delivering a podcast. Well, you have to have a little passion here. You have to do this extra work and you interview guests and you share it and introduce your audience to hopefully guests that are entertaining or insightful. And then people go, I like that. I want to make sure that I know about the next one, or I'm going to look for the next one. And they're self-selecting and asking to be a part of your your community. Well, then don't neglect them. Make sure you pull them into one of your follow-up processes to keep them connected. Don't fail them. And they may not know about other things that you do. So how nice would it be to keep them in the loop by utilizing the technology? Make the robots work for you. Don't make the robots be. Yeah, robots are bad when you don't make them work for you.
Yeah. They definitely make a lot of noise otherwise. It's like I have now in the picture this old, the toys that you had, these robot toys of the 70s or so, 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
with these huge clumpy things, but you had to put in the back these like 6 or 8 of these really uh, thick batteries in there, and it was so heavy and clumpy and making noise. No, you don't want that. It was, as a kid, it was fun, but if you've got lots of these robots running around, you're getting annoyed. It's like if you've got a dog that's barking all the time, each time you're trying to have a phone conversation, it annoys as well. or other kind of crazy things. That's the thing. If we become an annoyance, then people don't want to engage with us. And when you think of it, for instance, if you're having had ads running, you're spending money to just get the people even to come to you, and then you're wasting that opportunity by being annoyed and being disrespectful and just being a terrible person or terrible business in that behavior concept, then you actually are going to drive them away, and you're just taking the money and throwing it out the window, and you don't care because nobody's actually going to benefit except maybe the platform on which you were advertising. But for you as a business, you're not getting any business, not getting any sales, you're not getting the money in that you need to hire people, to keep people in job, train them, or even improve your marketing, your sales, and all this stuff. Money is there to flow, and if we don't ensure that it doesn't flow because we don't do our homework properly, well, there's no traffic. Eventually it's like a clogged up pipe, and then eventually it comes out very nasty then in the opposite direction.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that takes me to my last question, which is, what are your best 7 suggestions on how to put a business on the right growth path?
Well, my book made it a little more simple with 4 fundamentals we need to put in place. We've talked about 3 of them: clear messaging, marketing automation, sales automation. So most people they know they need a website. They're convinced need to do something on social media, maybe even run ads. But again, if that's all you have, you're dumping people onto a website, expecting them to dig around and find whatever it is. And so you're spending that valuable time of focus. You're wasting that. So what would be the 4th? Well, that's called strategic campaigns. And a strategic campaign means that we're not going to do something tactical. Hey, let's just throw some ads on Facebook, but we're going to sit down and design something, a strategy. And so you've gone to a website where you downloaded something, you clicked on a social media ad, or maybe you watched a video, or you were on Instagram, you saw a product that you've never seen before, and you clicked on learn more or shop now. Well, that sent you to that page about that specific product. Well, that's an example of a landing page where you don't have to dig around. You go right to the product. You went right where you expected. And so now you get to learn more specifics about what interested you that you didn't have room to have on the social media ad or the picture or whatever. And now you find a little more detail. And then if it passes the audition, so to speak, then you pull out your credit card and you purchase it. Or you identify yourself and you get to download or consume more of whatever it was that you're interested in. Well, that's a part of a strategic campaign. And so all the thinking that went in before the ad is the most important part of. I apologize. That's annoying. So, that's the most important part of this whole. The only reason you would do any of this that we've been discussing is to find out who it is that's interested in what you're wanting to do. When you go to a trade show, when you go to a business meeting, what do? You exchange a business card. Why? Well, I'm going to put that in my Rolodex, or I'm going to put that into my contact list. And my intent is that when appropriate, we're going to communicate and further our relationship. Hopefully, it's going to end in a transaction. Well, a strategic campaign would only facilitate that exact thinking in a virtual representation.
Mm-hmm.
So the clear messaging is first because it's always in play through all of those.
Mm-hmm.
Then the technology is going to facilitate expedite the back and forth of that process as well. And then a strategic campaign is going to help us go, all right, what is it that we're best at? Who's our perfect client? And what do we want to design to have to spin up more potential relationships and drop them into our system? And that's called a strategic campaign. And that's everything that goes in behind those interesting little things you click on when you're out investigating the world, so to speak. When you're on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or doing searches, you're investigating, you're educating, and you click on interesting things, and they should take you along a nice experience that would hopefully help you trade business cards in a virtual way so that you can continue on. Because at some point you're going to go, okay, I believe everything that this is an option that I should consider as a solution. But I'd like to ask a few more questions just to make sure the situation I'm wanting to apply it is relevant. And that's what a strategic campaign would do. It would help bring you to the point where you go, okay, I'm ready to talk to a human because I feel safe. I've found everything at my speed. And now hopefully when I talk to a human, it's going to provide the same experience that I've had up until that point. So sitting and all the thinking that goes into the strategy would be the system, the pattern to accomplish that, to resolve that for the bodyguard, to make both sides come together and have a transaction. So those are the four things. The other thing that I would put in there is that you need to see yourself. Yeah, you're expert at plastic surgery or an attorney or whatever it is that you do, but more importantly, you need to see yourself as a business person. And if you're a business person, then it would make sense that you want to be a good business person and that you would see this as a business process. You're a business person that happens to be excellent at teaching authors how to write better books, or being a physician or an attorney or whatever that may be. But really, you're a business person. So you need to change your mindset to see yourself as a business person. And that would help you not see a website, but that you see a system. And this is a legitimate evolution of everything that you've invested in up to this point. You're just maneuvering or starting to transition into modern marketing, into the world where we're going as a professional.
Yeah, Definitely, that's where things just change and are so different to the old style websites, old style kind of marketing and communication, and that whether you're sending out press releases, you're building content on websites, blogs, and all the different things that we can do. But if it's just like some old-fashioned ad and it doesn't really get us engaged and doesn't really touch us in some whatever kind of way that we actually see ourselves, it becomes really a problem for us to spend energy and time to it.
Totally.
Yeah. So, of course, when I'm looking at, I've taken quite a lot of notes because it's been really very interesting, Steve, what you've been providing us in information. And as you said, you used to work before as well in different sales positions before you transitioned to becoming a expert in websites and marketing and how to really get this message properly over and get people to really have a modern marketing instead of trying to do an old style that no longer really works or not as efficient as we would like for our bucks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, but we have to pay our dues. We have to learn our things. And at some point, we grow in our expertise, we grow in our unique perspective of our profession or the area of our professional life is. And it's kind of incumbent upon us to move towards becoming a mentor if we want to really fulfill our responsibility to our community or to other humans.
Yeah, definitely. And then we can actually help them to be more focused, and as well their communication way is more focused. And we are able actually to make them as well understand how they can take the responsibility and awareness towards what the clients really need. So that they actually then come say, hey, you're so unique compared to all the other competitors who I might have spoken to that I've decided I'm going with you because you're actually paying attention to me. You are asking questions. You're finding out what problem. You're giving me advice. You're giving me value. And I feel that I need to give back as well by becoming your client, which is, I think, as well, the key thing that differentiates people who are taking the effort to do a good modern style of marketing. And whether it's story building, whether it's actually providing the answers in a way that is understandable or not robotic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good. So it was great having you here on the show, and I'm sure that people have taken quite a lot with them, and hopefully some of them are taking notes whilst listening to this edition. I definitely have. And before we move out and finalize this, Steve, what's again the name of the book so that they know how to find it on Amazon or on any other kind of shop if they want to buy it? What's it? Do you maybe have as well the ISBN number or something that's easier to find, or the ASIN number from Amazon, whatever?
Well, it's a long ISBN number here, but it's 978 15445 06296. And it's The Golden Toilet. It's it's the funniest book on marketing. And it's titled The Golden Toilet. Stop flushing your marketing budget to your website and build a system that grows your business. And the book website is thegoldentoilet.com. I also have a podcast. It's called the ROI Online Podcast. It's on all the podcast platforms. And my agency is roionline.com. And on LinkedIn, reach out to me on LinkedIn at Steve Brown ROI Online. There's a lot of Steve Brown, so I added ROI Online on the end of it. You can message me there, and I can direct you to the resources that you're looking for.
Great. So it was awesome to have you on. And I'm sure we'll be speaking some in the future on other topics together and providing new content for our listeners.
Yeah, you're a great host, and I've really enjoyed being here. And I hope that I brought some good value to your audience.
Definitely. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Growth Zone with Christian Bartsch. Thank you for listening. Please leave a review or rating here on iTunes or on podchaser.com. If you found the content helpful, then share it on social media. I would like to invite you to follow our show so that you don't miss the upcoming interviews with leaders in the market. Simply visit the website follow.prmediareach.com. I will be adding the link also to the description of this episode so that you just need to click on that link. For those of you who are listening and signing up to follow the show, I have reserved a free copy of the ultimate guide on content marketing. This is the strategy that got me top corporate clients like McDonald's, Linde, Hewlett-Packard, Deutsche Bank, Volvo, and many others. That strategy has been working for over 10 years. It also got me contracts with police, transport authorities, military, and several universities, and even leading research institutes. For sure, it also worked wonders as it got me many small, medium-sized entrepreneurs and enterprises as clients. And that even included international clients from all around the world. The link to sign up for our free broadcasting service and the guide is follow.prmediareach.com. That will give you access to the most recent version of my ultimate guide on content marketing. You can follow me as well on Twitter by using the Twitter handle CAP_Bartsch. That's spelled Charlie, Alpha, Papa, Bravo, Alpha, Romeo, Tango, Sierra, Charlie, Hotel. Yes, that is CAP_Bartsch. Charlie, Alpha, Papa, Bravo, Alpha, Romeo, Tango, Sierra, Charlie, Hotel.